In the previous 3 episodes, I've told you about how my experiences of walking in the countryside mirror my life experiences. Some people even compare life to a journey or a pilgrimage. For instance, when Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, questioned Jacob as to how old he was, Jacob replied like this: "The years of my pilgrimage are 130. My years have been few and difficult." That's from Genesis 47, verse 9, reading from the New International Version. Well, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, and I don't think I'm going to live as long as Jacob did. But I have been living for quite a while now. So let me tell you my story. I grew up in Tonbridge in the county of Kent in southeast England. It's quite a picturesque town because the River Medway flows through it, and it has a 900-year-old Norman Motte and Bailey castle, which is well preserved. When I was young, Tonbridge was quite a busy market town, with the cattle market taking place every Tuesday and a general market every Saturday at the north end of the town. And at our end of the town, the southern end, was the railway station, which served at least 4 main routes and was close to our house. I only had one sibling, my brother, who was just 13 months older than me. My mother was a quiet woman, a typical housewife of the 1960s, I suppose. She had served in the Land Army during the war, and she loved nature and she loved animals. And she would often take us to the cattle market to see the farm animals and show us how we could touch them. Or she would take us to the farm where she worked with Mr. and Mrs. Giles during the war. My dad, on the other hand, was quite a sociable person, and he loved to go out for a pint, especially if there was live music somewhere. And his great pride and joy was the big gramophone that sat in its cabinet in our living room. And it would be blasting out songs, especially on a Sunday morning, like All Shook Up by Elvis, and our all-time favourite as children, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. My dad worked in a factory where they made air-conditioned units for ships, and he was an electrical wireman, so he spent the whole day soldering wires into these cabinets, and he would often come home with a bad headache and in a bad mood. People said that he had bad nerves. I think today we will recognise that as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And his moods were quite unpredictable. Sometimes he would flare up into a rage for no good reason, which was quite terrifying for a small child like me. He was also highly critical and very difficult to please. And to be honest, he was downright verbally abusive. And so I grew up to be a very insecure child with low self-esteem, and I would say fear was my constant companion. But it wasn't all bad. My mother took me and my brother along to a local Sunday school. She hoped that we would learn some good moral values, and she would also have some peace and quiet to herself for an hour on a Sunday afternoon. I was just 3 when we started going, and I loved it so much. I loved singing the songs. I loved to hear the Bible stories. It was really my happy place where I felt valued and loved. If I'm honest, my early childhood is not what I would have chosen for myself. But later on, I saw God's hand in it all. And like David in the Psalm 139, I could say these words, reading again from the New International Version, and I'm reading from verse 13. "For you created me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well." And continuing, verse 16. "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Isn't that wonderful? This is Junia. I'm on holiday next week in the Yorkshire Dales again. So I'll continue my story in 2 weeks' time. Hope to see you there.